What if Tanjiro created his own breathing style? What if Tanjiro didn't just rediscover sun breathing, but pushed it further to create something new? Think about it. Zenitsu created a new form of thunder breathing. Inosuke created his entire beast breathing style from scratch. While Tanjiro's mastery of sun breathing was the key to defeating Muzan, it also meant we never got to see his true innovative spirit. What if the gentle boy from the snowy mountains decided that neither water nor sun was the perfect fit? What if he forged his own path? We know Tanjiro is great at adapting. We saw him copy Zenitsu's thunder breathing concepts in the entertainment district, but what if he started doing that way earlier? Well, I found 3 different theories. In the first theory, the change happens indistinctly during the fight with Rui. In the original story, this is the critical moment where Tanjiro awakens the Hinokami Kagura, but in this timeline, instead of accessing his father's dance perfectly, the life or death situation forces his subconscious to innovate in real time. The muscle memory from Orokodaki's water breathing clashes with his desperate, explosive aggression. He creates movements that are both gentle and fierce, like clouds that can drift peacefully or unleash devastating storms. The technique that holds off Rui here isn't sun breathing, but a raw, imperfect form of cloud breathing. Now, this new technique isn't enough to kill Rui instantly, because Tanjiro is inexperienced, but it buys enough time for Gyu to arrive and finish the job. The real change happens during his recovery at the Butterfly Mansion. Tanjiro obsesses over what happened. He knows he used something beyond water breathing, but he can't access the full sun breathing memories. This is where he finds the perfect mentor, Shinobu Kocho. Shinobu is known for innovation. She created insect breathing to suit her own lack of strength. She helps Tanjiro systematize his new discovery. They analyze how he combined flow with explosive strikes. By the time the entertainment district arc arrives, Tanjiro has perfected 7 forms of cloud breathing. His first form, Cumulus Shield, uses rotating defensive strikes to deflect attacks while counterattacking. But the real game changer is his performance against Daki and Gyutaro. In this timeline, Tanjiro actually outclasses Daki. His speed and unpredictable cloud movements allow him to put pressure on her without constantly being on the back foot. When he switches to support Tengen against Gyutaro, the openings he creates allows Tengen to land solid blows. Because of this, the Demon Slayers aren't buried under rubble like in the original. Tengen still gets poisoned, but he avoids losing an arm and an eye. This is huge because Tengen doesn't have to retire immediately. Finally, in the battle against Muzan, Tanjiro unleashes the cloud-breathing 7th form, Dawn breaking through storm clouds. He channels the actual sunrise concept through his technique. Just as Yoriichi planned to combine all forms, Tanjiro uses everything he's got. He realizes cloud breathing was his unconscious recreation of what sun breathing was meant to be for him. Cloud breathing stands as the pinnacle of breathing styles, and the Demon Slayers win. Now, that was just one of 3 possibilities. That was the timeline where innovation worked, but what if creating his own style actually doomed the Demon Slayer core? In the second theory, the divergence happens much earlier, during his training with Orokodaki. Tanjiro struggles with water breathing because his body, adapted to hauling charcoal in snowstorms, doesn't flow like water. He realizes he's fighting his own nature. He asks Urokodaki for permission to create something new. Urokodaki, remembering geniuses like Muichiro, agrees on the condition that Tanjiro masters the water basics first. Tanjiro develops snow breathing. His first form, Fresh Powder, appears soft and harmless, but masks devastating strikes. His third form, Frozen Cascade, creates a solid wall of rotating slashes. But here's the problem. By creating snow breathing, Tanjiro never taps into the Hinokami Kagura. He never unlocks the memories of Yoriichi. At Mount Naragumo, he uses snow breathing against Rui. It confuses the demon, but it lacks the raw firepower of sun breathing. Gyu still has to save him. The tragedy begins to unfold during the Swordsmith Village arc. Hardcore fans know that for a swordsman to awaken their Demon Slayer mark, they need to have been in the presence of a previously marked sun-breathing user. But Tanjiro hasn't used sun-breathing. He hasn't awakened his own mark. This means it's practically impossible for any of the Hashira to enter the marked state. Without the mark, Muichiro drowns in Gyoko's water trap. Gyoko survives. Mitsuri faces Zohakuten alone, even with her unique strength. Without the mark, she likely falls in battle defending the village. Tanjiro manages to kill Hantengu using his snow-breathing 8th form, Avalanche Descent, beheading him right at dawn. But the cost is too high. 2 Hashira are dead, and Gyoko is still alive. When they get to the Infinity Castle, the Slayers are at a severe disadvantage. They have no marks, no red blades, no transparent world. Tanjiro and Gyu manage to take out Akaza, but they sustain life-threatening injuries because they lack the speed boost from their marks. Meanwhile, Sanemi and Gyome face Kokushibo. In the original, Genya's sacrifice and the marks allowed them to win. Here, they simply don't have the muscle. Sanemi and Genya both die. When the remaining battered Slayers face Muzan, Muzan observes, "You lack the spark that Yoriichi possessed." Tanjiro desperately unleashes the snow-breathing 9th form, Eternal Winter, combining everything he has. But without the heat of the sun, snow just melts. As dawn approaches, Tanjiro draws his final breath as the last human standing, and the Demon King prevails. That was a depressing reality check. But let's see what happens in theory number 3. In this new theory, Tanjiro doesn't just create a style to suit his body. He creates a style to fix the flaws of sun breathing itself. The divergence happens after the fight with Rui. Tanjiro uses the Hinokami Kagura, but it nearly destroys his body. body. He realizes that switching to sun breathing makes him a liability because he collapses before the fight is done. He becomes disillusioned with his father's dance. He decides he needs something gentler on his body, but fast enough to match the upper moon's. He takes the low-impact movement of water breathing and combines it with the power of sun breathing. He realizes Yoriichi could handle the sun breathing because he was built different, but for a normal human, it's too much. Tanjiro compresses and sharpens the movements. He removes the dance aspect and focuses on speed. He's unknowingly creating light breathing. Shinobu Kocho plays a massive role here. She watches him train and sees the potential for overwhelming speed, similar to her insect breathing, but with the power to decapitate. She takes Tanjiro under her wing, helping him analyze and refine the new technique. Over the following weeks, they discover that Tanjiro has condensed the broad, sweeping attacks of Hinokami Kagura into pinpoint accuracy and overwhelming speed. They name it light breathing because the after images of his strikes are as bright and direct as pure rays of light. By the time of the Entertainment District arc, Tanjiro has perfected non-complete forms. He unleashes the first form, Ray Pierce, a thrust faster than the eye can follow, creating a beam-like effect. Then the third form, Prism Slash, which hits from multiple angles simultaneously to overwhelm defenses. And finally, the sixth form, Solar Flare, consisting of multiple circular slashes that create a blinding sphere of Nichiren steel. When he fights Daki, he doesn't hesitate. He uses light breathing to cut through her obi slashes before she can even react. It's total domination. When the Swordsmith Village arc arrives, this timeline gets even crazier. Tanjiro arrives not as a struggling swordsman, but as an innovator. Because light breathing is derived from sun breathing, Tanjiro can still activate the Demon Slayer mark. When he fights the Upper Moon 4 clones, his speed allows him to hunt the main body much faster. He ends up getting a custom sword from Haganezuka earlier, because light breathing requires a thinner, lighter blade than the standard Nichiren katana to maximize velocity. Muichiro finds the sword and throws it to him during the battle. Tanjiro catches it and activates his mark, using the sheer velocity of his new style to behead Hantengu before the sun even fully rises. This impresses Muichiro deeply, leading to a much stronger bond between the two prodigies during the Hashira training arc. But the real test is Akaza in the Infinity Castle. In the original, Akaza has the upper hand for most of the fight. Here, Tanjiro's light breathing allows him to match Akaza's speed instantly. Akaza is shocked. He remembers the boy from the Mugen train, but he's unprepared for this level of precision. Once Tanjiro unlocks the Selfless State and bypasses the compass needle, Akaza resorts to blindly unleashing shockwaves, but it doesn't work. Tanjiro unleashes the fourth form, Radiant Severance, breaking through Akaza's martial arts and ending the fight with Gyu's help much faster than in canon. Finally, we get to Muzan. Muzan looks at Tanjiro and sees the silhouette of Yoriichi, but the movements are different. They're sharper, faster. Muzan realizes with horror that Tanjiro hasn't just inherited the power, he's improved it. As the sun begins to rise, Tanjiro reveals the light-breathing ninth form, Supernova. Just as Yoriichi figured out that the key was to combine all forms, Tanjiro blends his techniques into a sustained barrage instead of a single burst. It is a continuous, blinding storm of precision cuts. The continuous attacks, combined with Tamayo's poison, completely overwhelm Muzan's regeneration. Tanjiro proves that light breathing isn't separate from sun breathing. It's the natural evolution of it. He survives, the Hashira survive, and light breathing becomes a legend, proof that even the most perfect technique can be improved. In this last theory, we see that Tanjiro's ability to adapt was actually his greatest weapon, even more than the sun-breathing memories themselves. But this makes me wonder, if Tanjiro could combine breathing styles? Well, that's the subject of this other video. Click on this video to see what happens when Tanjiro is able to use both sun and moon breathing styles. Go ahead, click it!